today, you know what, my day was really pretty good today.
The question you were gonna ask her, remember? Do you know what it is? You never told me. No.
Do you remember Judah's question? Because he's not remembering it, Daddy.
I never knew what happened.
He said,
He just came up with anyone.
Guys, we would go
No. Shh. No.
I didn't go to school.
Did I go to school?
Judah,
Say, did
ask
you
her
go to
what
school?
was
Yes,
like.
did I go to school? Yes, I went to school. I had to walk in the snow and the ice to catch the school bus
Why?
because the house that I lived in did not have a good road. And so when it would snow or rain, I had to walk to the highway where there was cement. And I had to walk to that to catch the bus because they couldn't bring the bus down by my house to pick me up.
Okay, Judah, go sit down.
And we didn't have much money, and so whatever my mother brought home for us to wear, that's what I wore. But I guess my favorite color has always been
Wait, Martha again.
shades of
Judah,
blue and
Go sit
pink.
down. It's not your turn anymore.
Judah, you had your question. You're all done now.
Dear
No,
Ned.
I'm so
It's your turn.
Wait, Martha, I made you a card, but it's at home.
You forgot it at home?
Yeah.
I'll get it next time, it'll still be
He
sweet.
did do an art video today to make.
I did I'll be using that. I did.
All right, buddy.
Okay.
Okay,
Daniel?
What was your favorite thing to do for fun?
for fun, okay, we didn't have toys. There were no toys, okay? Because my mom and dad had no money. And so we had no toys. We didn't even get toys at Christmas time. We had our stocking that was a real sock that we wore, you know, up to here. And my Santa Claus would put my Christmas in that stocking, and it was an apple and an orange and some nuts and that kind of thing, not even candy. So there were no presents when I was your age.
So what did you do for fun?
Huh?
So then what did you do for fun?
Oh, for fun? Oh, yeah,
No,
well,
get to see his
we would play ball over the house. We had a little ball, so we would go out and somebody would be on one side of the house and somebody else would be on this side of the house. And we would throw the ball over and the other people over there would catch it or run it down if it fell. And then they would throw it back over to us. Annie over.
Did it ever get stuck on the roof? What happened if it got stuck on the roof?
It never did. The roof was like this.
Ah, it was too steep.
Yeah.
Okay, now your turn.
And I think it was metal. I don't think it was shingle. I think it was metal.
What was your favorite vegetable when you were growing up?
My favorite vegetable when I was growing up. Well, my mother and daddy grew everything in the ground that we ate. We didn't go to town and buy peppers and onions and tomatoes and all that. So we grew everything in the fields. My favorite thing probably was going to the garden and getting a tomato off of the vine and eating it out in the garden. Didn't take it in and wash it. I just ate it.
Wait, aren't tomatoes fruits?
I think probably they
That's my
are.
boy.
I think they are a fruit, but
But a lot of people consider them a vegetable.
yes. Yeah, most people don't know that. See, I didn't get to go to a school like you've been going to.
Yeah.
So I don't think I ever knew that until I was real
What
old.
was that thing you said the other day, Ruth?
Isn't a strawberry a vegetable?
Ordinarily, it is a vegetable.
Why not?
Scientifically, it is not a vegetable.
But yes, it is a vegetable.
But you didn't say ordinary, you said
Wait,
culinarily.
Every vegetable.
Unless they're
Culinarily, it's a vegetable, but scientifically, it's a fruit.
Yeah.
What did you usually eat for breakfast?
What did I enjoy eating for breakfast?
Yeah.
Oh, honey. Well, my favorite thing was what Sugar fixes for you guys when you come to her house.
Chocolate.
But we only got to have that one time a week. We got to have it on Sunday morning.
It was like special breakfast.
Chocolate,
Sundays.
syrup, and biscuits poured over gravy. Poured over biscuits. Okay, chocolate, syrup, and biscuits with the chocolate syrup poured over the biscuits.
And
Loved it, loved it, loved it.
why could you only have it once a week?
We had to buy the sugar.
Right. Because the
We
sugar
had to
was
buy
hard
the
to buy,
sugar.
and you had
So
to
sugar
buy
was
it.
something that we only had for special stuff. Because we had to buy it from the store and we didn't have any money.
Okay, let's see.
You're not.
Okay, Olivia?
Were there toilets?
Well,
Were there toilets?
No.
Toilets.
Were there
Dad, you have
toilets?
toilets.
Oh, honey. Not in a house, not in a house, no, in the house. We had what old people would call the slop jar, but it was a potty that had a lid on it. And you could sit, at that age, I could sit down on it.
Chamber pot.
Huh?
Yeah,
A
yeah,
chamber
it's a
pot.
Yes. Okay, I didn't know what it's called. We just called it the
Slop pot.
the pot barrel bucket. And so, but we did have a sit down. Actually, it was a 2-seater,
Oh.
and we couldn't have bought toilet paper, so we used Sears Roebuck catalogs. And we'd take those down, and it was a 2-seater, and like a seat here and a seat here. So we'd take those Sears Roebuck catalogs and lay them on this between the 2 seats. And then we would tear a leaf out and wrinkle it up real good so it would try to soften it up. Wouldn't be so hard. And even when I was pregnant with Uncle Tony,
I'm Debbie.
yeah, huh? Yeah, when I was pregnant with Uncle Tony, I went down there and it was away from the house, see, and it sat kind of on a bank so that your stuff that you dropped in there would go on down, okay? And no water to flush. And so my daddy said, you get up here. He was afraid that I was gonna get down there straining and I would have Uncle Tony
In the,
fall through the hole.
In the
Yeah.
hole.
in the
Yes.
hole, because it wasn't
Yes.
like a hole you could see. It was a
So,
hole you couldn't see.
Ah.
you know, if that had happened, that wouldn't have been good.
Did you have backpacks back then?
What, honey?
Backpacks.
Backpacks? Oh gosh,
Backpack.
that's a good question. Oh, no, honey. I don't even think my kids had backpacks when they were
What was
going
the
to school.
question?
Did you have backpack?
Did I have a backpack?
That must have been
Yeah,
a lot of weight.
Yeah, I don't think Sugar and Tony even had that was just not the thing. Nobody had them.
My arms.
Nobody had them.
In your pencils?
Did you have lockers
Eat
then?
your lunch?
Gracie, did
Dino,
you have lockers?
that, no, I said,
Hey, Judah.
is that goes to Will?
Yes.
Ruth, it's your turn.
What was church like?
Pardon me?
What was church like?
Church. Well, churches were far apart from each other, and so I went to the same church where Granddaddy, well, yeah. You know what? But all of y'all were born after Granddaddy died. So you don't remember. You don't remember.
My dad.
Well, anyway, where was I?
Church.
Yeah, what
Church.
church was like?
Granddaddy, when I met Granddaddy, he or his family did not go to church. And so, but my mother was very strict on, we had to go to church. We had to go on Sunday night, we had to go to church on Sunday night, even if some of the other kids got to go to town and go to a movie. And I remember, I don't know if it was Debbie, probably Debbie, crying because, no, who was it? Yeah, it was Debbie, because she wanted to do something on a Sunday night, and I used to, your Sugar and D-Doc can tell you, I think, there was a time that I didn't miss church. If church was going on, I was there. And Sunday night was no exception. I just thought all the churches that were dropping off the Sunday nights was just going to hell. I just, could not believe that they were calling themselves Christian and then not go to church on Sunday night. And so my parents raised me the same way, except Sunday morning. I couldn't go anywhere unless after I was in church. So
What kind of church was it?
it was a Methodist church. But, well, see, sometimes I lose my train of thought. That's called old age. Well, shoot. Oh, so with Debbie wanted to go places, and she wanted to go somewhere on Sunday night. And I said, no, you're not going, we're going to church. She said, Mama, that is so unfair. Even what was their last name?
Howard? I don't know. I don't know who you're
Yes,
talking
yes, you
The
do.
Browns?
Howell?
Yes.
The Howell kids.
Yeah, Edna and Brother Hal, and she's still living. Doesn't live far from you, Ruth. But anyway, so Debbie says, oh gosh, even the Howells get to go somewhere, besides church on Sunday night. And I said, I'm not raised in the Howells. Do you not remember that, Debbie?
Somebody remember it.
Well,
I heard that saying quite often.
well, yeah, because it
Sounds like
happened.
Mama.
But Debbie said, oh gosh, Mama, even the Howells get to go to this. And I said, I'm not raised in the Howells.
I'm not Chris.
Okay, Chris,
What, honey?
what were
Sunday
your
morning?
services like on Sunday morning?
Very, very calm. Very, very calm.
Did you get popped on the head if you fell asleep?
What on the head?
I read in like a history book, did you get bopped on the head when you fell asleep?
She's talking about ushers. Were there
Were there
ushers?
ushers that would bonk you on the head if you fell asleep?
No, I don't think I've heard that. I don't think I've seen that.
I didn't know.
Wake
I
up.
don't think I've seen, I don't think I've seen that. Don't think I've
Well, what were
seen.
your services?
But the music was very, very, very slow. Very, very slow. More slow than anything you've heard.
Even slower than a turtle?
Slower than a turtle?
Turtles aren't that
Pretty much.
Some of them are. They're not in the water.
Pretty much.
They're out of the water supposed.
Okay, Chris, do you have one?
I get a question?
And they're flippers.
All right. What is something that you never got caught for, but you know you did wrong?
Well, one time there were 3 of us girls. The school bus would go down the highway close to my home, and then it would make a turn, go down a more country road than that one, pick up some people, and then it would come back by. Well, there was a store on the corner of where you turn off of the highway and onto the smaller road and come out. So if somebody wanted to stop and get something, a Coke or whatever, if they had money, which I didn't, the bus driver would stop and let whoever wanted to get off and get what they wanted to buy and go in the store and buy. So 3 of us girls decided we didn't want to go to school that day. And so we got off at the store. And then when the bus came back by to pick us up, we didn't get on the bus. And then after the bus left, then we started walking down the highway to Huntington, which was about 15 miles probably.
Wow.
Yeah. And so we walked,
Did you make it?
we went in, Lord, I've never told this to anybody, but now's a good time to do it. We walked from that store to Huntington, and it really was, I'm thinking about 15 miles.
It is.
We walked to there, but on the way there was a house, a real nice looking house. And so they were probably had gone to work or taking their kids to school, whatever. Anyway, we knocked, nobody came to the door, so we all just went in. And there was some food sitting on the table.
She said she's
There
never
was
sold
some
it.
food sitting on the table in the kitchen, and honey, we just ate that food. And we came out of the house. We came out of the house and walked on into town, you know. Well, I've never told this to anybody either. I never told this to anybody but the Lord. When I accepted Christ as my Savior and I was naming off all my sins, this was one of the sins that I confessed. And I've never told this to anybody else, y'all. You are the first and the last. I stole a couple of little things out of a store, put in my pocket. No, I know, and that was one of the first things that I had to ask for forgiveness for, that I confessed to the Lord when I accepted Him as Savior. That was one of my things. But I had no money.
What were the two things?
Huh?
What were the two things? And what did you
The two things that I don't remember, honey. It was probably nail polish or something I could put in my pocket.
Oh my goodness
Yep.
gracious.
But what was the food?
What was the
food?
What was the food that you ate? Do you remember? At that
No,
house?
probably breakfast food since it was, 7:30 or something.
And why was it still on the table? That's what
They had to hurry up and take their kids to school.
Maybe they had eaten some of it already.
Oh my goodness.
Was it already partially eaten?
I let you, honey.
The food, was it already partially eaten?
I don't know. I don't remember. I just remember we went in that house and there was nobody in there.
Was this Rumors' idea or someone
Oh
else's?
gosh, that's great.
My idea?
No,
Oh, I
my
don't-
guess is she followed someone else.
I don't know which one of us it was, but,
Okay, Holly.
Who was with you?
but I will tell you this. Well, two girls that was in my class.
Is it
But I will tell you
Was it
this. The girl that I was spending the night with that night, the night of the day that so I didn't go home. I went to her house on the bus with her in the park that she lived in. And, so guess siblings, you that are older and you have younger siblings, be careful because they'll tell on you. If there's something you do, if there's something you do that they don't like, they'll tell on you, yeah. And so, my siblings, Bonnie, yeah, one of them was Bonnie, and the others are gone, you wouldn't know them. But anyway, they came in and told Mom. My mother didn't drive, okay? But they came in and told my mother that I was not in school that day. Well, she knew where the people lived that I was gonna ride the bus home and spend the night with this girl. She knew where she lived. She lived down the road just a little way from Howard and Wimmel's house on the highway. And so, Mama didn't drive ever. But I had an older brother that had not married at that time, and he lived with Mom and Dad. And so, he came in from work, and Mama got him to drive her to the house where I was. And so she came, knocked on that door, and said, "You come with me," or however she put it. My mama didn't talk bad or ugly or anything. So it wasn't bad. It wasn't, like anger. But, so she didn't do anything until we got home. Well, I guess my brother at that time wasn't living home. He may have already been married and they lived in the house down the road. All the older ones know where the house is. Anyway, because we got out and we walked all the way to my house from that, which was not a far piece. But we walked, and on the way, she made me stop and get a switch. And every step I took down that road, she swatted me on the legs.
Was there just a switch just lying next to
What's
the
that mean?
tree?
Go over to-
What, honey?
On the tree.
I didn't know what a switch is.
A
What?
switch is like
Oh.
it's like a tree,
Yeah, a little
It's like a
twig off of a
twig.
tree.
It's like a branch. But it's a green branch, right? So it's not like a dried stick, but it's like a green branch, and so it's very flexible.
It's not a pleasant feeling.
No, it's not. I can testify.
It's
It's similar to.
Switched every step of the way.
Oh, it's similar to.
Every
similar to the
step
sticker,
I
only
made,
longer.
she swished me on my leg.
Well, we still do, I saw it before the other day.
It's like a brown.
Yeah.
But this was, I'd say we call it a switch.
You didn't just call
It's a good story.
It's like this.
That's great.
Okay, Holly.
Grammars, at what point did you start wearing pants? Were you allowed to wear pants?
Oh, I was always allowed to wear pants.
Oh, I thought you were not.
No.
Shorts.
Shorts, we were not allowed to wear
When
shorts.
were you allowed to wear shorts?
Oh, no, we were never allowed to wear shorts. But we wore pants. As a matter of fact, I got new blue jeans for school because it was cold and Mama wanted us all to be warm, and so, you know, we had to wear blue jeans. I wore blue jeans, I think, through all of my years of school.
So how old were you when you first got a pair of shorts?
Let's see,
Short pants.
Granddaddy and I got married when I was 15.
Short pants.
I really don't remember the first pair of shorts that I ever got.
Dude,
Were you married?
Huh?
Were you married
Oh, I'm sure I probably was. I married, you know,
when you were 15?
60.
I married when I was 16. Had Debbie when I was 17. But it would have still been going, that marriage would have still been going if
That's
Granddad
right.
hadn't died.
That's right.
We never came close to a divorce. Back then, the divorces didn't happen. You've heard it said, if anything was broke, you fixed it.
That's right.
You know, we didn't even
Yeah,
think
Bonnie
about
didn't
divorce.
know
That
that.
was not a, we never thought about divorce.
Okay, John, do you have a question?
So when I was growing up, I had different stories that were like really stories I thought about. Like Robin Hood was one of my favorite stories. So when you were growing up, like what are the stories that either you were told, like a bedtime story, or stories like, oh, that was one that I thought about a lot?
You know, we were not read to as a child either. I don't remember that we had any books even to read. We didn't have TV,
Did they tell you any stories though?
huh?
If they didn't read to you, did they tell you stories?
No.
Like make up stories?
No, my mom and dad had married when they were real young too, and they came from the same background that we came from. There was no money, very little, you know, if any. And so I don't think they even knew stories either.
Well,
I
then-
think mom and dad only went maybe to 6th grade, even if they went to 6th grade. I mean, that was the norm where we lived. For the territory that we lived in and for the age, that was just the norm. My dad was a carpenter. He was a farmer, but then he was a carpenter. And so in the wintertime, he would go to my sister's, his daughter, and stay with her and get jobs building buildings, working with people that was building buildings.
Sure. Well, I'll ask a different question then, since you know stories. What was a normal breakfast like when you woke up in the morning? You're 5 years old. What is a normal breakfast
The
for Grandma's
normal
mom?
breakfast, the chocolate syrup was a
Special.
That was a special.
Yeah.
That was a treat. But the normal breakfast was mother made homemade biscuits every morning, and then she would, of course, coffee, you know, and all that. But
You had coffee when you were 5?
huh?
You had coffee as a child?
In my daddy's lap. That's why I don't drink my coffee with anything in it, sugar and
There
cream.
you go.
Yes, Daddy taught me to drink coffee. But we had biscuits, homemade biscuits, and we had whatever meat Mother wanted to cook. We always had meat because I don't know how to say, grew
Raised it.
the, yeah.
Pigs and.
So we always had plenty of pork, chicken, and even beef. And we had what was called a smokehouse, and that's where the meat was kept. So
Instead of a refrigerator.
Mother would go out to the smokehouse and get whatever side of beef, pork that she was gonna cut that week for breakfast. And she'd go out there the night before and slice it off and bring it in the house, and then the next morning she would fry that. And by the way, we picked strawberries. You know, we had lots, there was 5 acres on my daddy's property. And so, that was one of the things around there, that the kids in school, they would let the school out so you could pick strawberries and the kids can make a little money and then help the growers out too. So, I think I went off on a wild goose chase here. So we always had homemade biscuits, and we had meat first. That's why I lost it, because they cooked the meat, and then the grease that was in the skillet from where we cooked the meat, Mother would throw these eggs in, and scrambled eggs, and then we always had jelly, preserves,
Wow.
something like that.
My kids are feeling jealous of your childhood right now.
Butter, we had home good butter. I mean, you know, did you ever see a churn, how they make butter out of
Yes.
milk?
No, I've only seen it once.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah, well, Mother she had what you call a churn. It was a real thick glass thing about the tall, and she would fill that with the milk. We had cows, not just a cow. So we had all the milk that we could use, even enough to feed the dogs some milk. And so Mother would put the milk in the churn, and after it set, I don't know, a day, 2 days, 3 days, I don't know how long it took. But once the milk soured, you could beat it like this. This bowl, not a bowl, this jar that it was in had a lid about this big around. It was a wooden lid, and you put that on it, and there was a stick that went up through it that you did like this, and you made the butter from that milk. So we made our butter, had our milk. So, well, probably, yes, it had to. What happened, Mother would take the cream off of the top, and she would use that to put in the milk, you know, to make it rich. Yeah, but we made it, we didn't buy anything at the store except cornflakes. We had cornflakes when we didn't have chocolate syrup, because we always had milk. So we'd have a bowl of cornflakes with sugar and milk, and have that. And many a time I've taken a ham biscuit, a biscuit that my mom made, and a little slice of ham. Real ham, not the kind of ham you girls would get. A slice of ham and a biscuit, and that's what we had to take to school for lunch, because we had no money to buy our lunch. And my daddy would not take a freebie. We qualified for it, but Daddy would not. He would not take free lunch. But in the season when the vegetables were growing, then Mom and Dad would gather the vegetables. They would shell them or break the green beans up, bag them up, take them to the school, and the school would let us eat as a trade-off. Mom and Dad would get the vegetables together and then take that to the school, and they'd let us kids, there were 4 of us, and they would let us eat.
Well, I have 2 questions, actually. One
What about Sarah?
Oh, Sarah, sorry, I'm sorry.
You're not that.
Well, hopefully not that I'm younger than
You are older than your daughter, so. My question is, do you remember any of your favorite holiday family traditions?
Holiday family
traditions.
traditions.
From when you were like a kid?
You know, my mom and dad both had big families, so we had lots of family that would visit. This lady that is the first cousin of mine that lives in Texas, but she and her husband have been going to the family reunion, and she said one of her favorite things is when she was growing up was when they'd all get in the back of the truck and come to our house because Mom was a good cook. And Mom got up and cooked every Sunday because she knew somebody was gonna be in that day, you know, to eat. It was just the way it was. So we always had a lot of family time, always, always, always. That's why Mother made us promise that we would continue the family reunion. She said, if you don't, then everybody will go their separate ways and it won't be a family anymore.
Did you have any traditions at Christmas or anything like that that you would do?
At Christmas,
Or Easter? Or...
Mother always had a Christmas tree. She would take something I guess, I don't know, because I never went with her. Nobody went with her. She always went by herself. And my mom and dad had a 100-acre farm. And so Mom would go out on the farm and where the trees were growing. And she'd been watching it all year, I'm sure. So she'd pick out the perfect size Christmas tree, come dragging them in, and then we'd put them up, you know. And until I was married, she didn't have store-bought ornaments until after I was married. We made them out of all those things that are like this, and you poke.
Pine cones?
Styrofoam.
No, not a pine cone.
Styrofoam balls?
Not a pine cone. The little things like,
Styrofoam.
the little thing like Sandy made out there, except this was a ball.
Cotton? A cotton ball?
Mm-mm.
Styrofoam ball?
It fell off of a tree, and it had little holes. It was a round ball,
Like a
had little
seed
holes
ball?
all in it.
Sweet gum balls?
Sugar,
Sweet gum balls?
Huh? Sweet gum balls.
Sweet gum balls.
Sweet gum balls.
Sarah, I got it.
We would pull together those sweet gum balls, and then we would poke something in it. I don't remember what we did, but we did it all the way around, and then we would spray it whatever color we wanted, hang it from the tree. I remember the first Christmas lights we ever had to go on the Christmas tree was those kind that you've had some. Those kind that have the long thing and they bubble.
The bubble lights.
The bubble lights. We had lots of those.
Nice.
Yeah.
Did you have electricity?
We didn't get electricity until I was, I was probably about 10, 11, 12. We got electricity, and so there were, I said 4. While Billy was there, I guess there were 5 of us still at home. And so we fought over who was gonna turn the electricity off at night, flip the switch. So Mom and Dad had to keep up with it, and we could only do that on our night because everybody wanted to do that. They wanted to turn the lights out.
Yeah, that's great.
So,
Okay,
yeah.
so my second question is, so what was the first thing that you got that like everyone was excited, like that was because you had electricity, you could get that thing? Like a
What shows?
mixer or a TV or a radio or?
Well, we usually always sat at night if it was too hot or too cold to be outside. We usually at night would listen to the radio programs on the radio.
Yeah.
And if my brother wasn't there, because he owned the radio, and so we would listen to the radio. And
What kind of programs would you?
If he wasn't there, did he not want you using his radio?
who? My brother? Well, it was his. He owned the radio, and so
You would listen to what
he
you
was
wanted.
a ball. He was a St. Louis Cardinals fan. Fan for years. Still was when he died. One of the things, when they knew he didn't have long to live, his kids wanted to take him and do anything that was on his bucket list, so to speak. And they took him to do everything that he wanted to do. One of the things he wanted to do was come here. And he did, well, come to Granbury. And he did. But they took him to see a St. Louis Cardinals game because he had loved them for 50 years and had never gotten to see a game, so they took him to see a game. So he was an avid baseball fan. So if he won't listen to a ball game, we found us something else to do. Catch lightning bugs. Have
So
y'all ever
much
done
fun.
that?
So much fun.
Catch lightning bugs and
Love
put them
it.
in a jar.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
We don't put them in a jar.
It's amazingly fun.
Put them in a jar.
Yep.
We
I used to catch
we always
them
do them
and
in
take the
camping.
tails off while they were lit and put them on my ears.
Are you
And
serious?
on a necklace around my
I
neck
have
like
heard
that.
too.
Oh my
You
gosh.
take
Yeah, if
their
you pop their tails
tail
off,
in essence and you
you squeeze their
Or not.
guts.
Okay, I got a question.
Sorry, I interrupted Mom's second half.
It's
I
okay.
apologize.
No, no,
Oh, sure.
no, that was not.
Okay, my question is, as a 15-year-old girl, what was it like when you first met Ed?
Well, he wasn't, let's see. Well, he was almost the first guy that I met. I had, gone to parties where there were guys there. I went to parties with Lita, you know who Lita is. And she was older than me, 2 years older than me, so she could have parties at her house. So I went to a lot of parties there. But when I met Ed, I don't know, from the very first night, I was almost like Debbie was. But the very first night I told somebody, probably Lita, my friend, that I really did like him, really did like him. And then we really never, once he and I got started dating, we really never went with anybody else. Never went with anybody else.
Do you remember how he asked you to marry him?
Huh? How he asked me, I probably kind of like me and Dwayne. I think I probably talked him into it. But we did, Ed didn't even have a car. And so
They're going to the bathroom.
he had to borrow his brother's car when he came pick me up.
No.
Or we would double date with like Lita and one of her friends.
No.
Because, yeah.
It's great.
But I was raised, whoever was picking me up for a date, they didn't wait out in the road, honk the horn, and me come out there. They had to come across that yard and come in the house, and Mom and Daddy see them. Yep.
So do you remember how Dad asked you to marry him?
I do not remember how that happened. I really don't remember.
You think it was just your idea?
Back in those days, and today, this day and time, they may still do it, but they would be doing it a little bit different than what we did. But back in those days, he didn't have any money, and I didn't have any money. So he would pick me up, and we would drive around, the Court Square there in Huntington, and then we'd go out on a country road and just turn the lights off, the car off, and sit there and visit. No hanky-panky. There was no hanky-panky. And that's why I said, I don't know how that would be today, in today's time. If judgmental as I am, if I go down the country road and see a car parked and the lights are off and two people are in there, I would probably judge them. But it didn't happen with us.
Okay, but what did you do on some dates with your, with watermelons?
Oh, well, yes. For fun, if there was more than the two of us, if there was, 4 or 6 of us, well, then we would be going out in the country and going down the road, and we knew where the watermelon patches were. So we would stop and steal a watermelon, take it out on the edge of the field and drop it and crack it. And then we just grab what we wanted of it and go off and leave it. I know.
Wait, where were you when we asked you to marry you?
One more question. Do you remember the first time I came to pick up Debbie for a date?
Yes, I do, and I remember the first time Debbie came home and told me she had met you. She ran and jumped and put her legs around my waist and said, Mama, I have met him, I have met him. I met the one today that I'm going to marry. And she had a whole weekend with
She was
the
18.
guy she was dating. And so
She
she
was
went
dating
ahead.
someone else.
He went ahead and went with us. We went to, down next to Louisiana camping. We met Bonnie and her family down there. And they had a camper and we had a cab over on the truck. And so, and she had a course. So, yeah, he went ahead and went with us. But Debbie told him that night she couldn't kiss him because she had met someone that she was very interested in.
Gently, so gently.
Yeah.
Yeah, but do you remember what you did when
Bank and I was having.
you worked at a bank also?
Yeah,
You worked at a bank.
Oh, well, yes, I worked at a bank after I moved to Texas. I worked at a
When
bank.
did you ever graduate from high school?
No,
So how did she get a job like at the bank?
well,
I mean, she talks to me.
I interviewed and they gave it to me.
The way my dad got the job with Bell Helicopter, because my dad only had a 4th grade education. So the way Dad got the job at Bell Helicopter was he lied on his application.
Oh.
Yep.
4th grade?
Yeah.
That's a
Oh,
good
yes.
story right
He
there.
could definitely read.
Could he read and write?
He read everything he
I
could
tell
get his
you.
hands
Could he
on.
read and write?
The two smartest men I've ever known were my dad, who had 2 master's degrees, and Ed, who had a 4th grade degree. Two smartest men I ever knew.
Yeah, Tony got a lot of that from his dad.
Smart man. He was.
Yes, he was.
Shooter.
He could do
I
anything,
got some of my stuff from you.
and did.
Well, and we said we wonder where Chris got his, slightly, naughty ways. And we figured maybe he got them from you with your watermelon stealing.
And your,
And food
Well,
stealing.
then I'd always stolen
And
it.
breaking and entering.
I'm telling you.
Breaking and entering, remember?
I'm telling you, yeah.
And shop.
well, that is
I'm
not like,
telling you.
and, he likes to like skipping school.
Did I
He did.
I love school.
One time,
I love school.
one time.
One time, and your legs felt it for months.
Probably that's why I'm getting all these sores on them now.
I remember one time when I took off and went and played all day when I was supposed to be working in the yard with my brothers. My dad got me home and he said, "Where do you live?" 4512 West 15. And what is your name? B.R.E. I mean, he was licking me for every little letter and my name and address and everything.
And now put them over
Well, my
there.
Christmas present.
And now you can do
Eat it.
Well, we didn't get college presents.
No,
We
we
did.
didn't.
Yeah, we did.
I have a question.
Okay.
Yeah.
When was the first time you had cake and what flavor was it?
What was the first time what?
You had cake.
Oh, honey, now my mother was a cook. Now, on the other hand, what would have been your grandpa, my first husband, Debbie and
My
Tony's
dad.
dad? Okay, he was raised in a home with no love. None from mom, or he had stepdads. And so he was not raised in a loving home. Okay? So he had never, when we got married, he was 21 years old. He had never had a birthday cake. He was 21 years old and had never had, he had his first birthday cake at my mom's after we got married. He had never had a birthday celebration at 21 years
I didn't
old.
realize he was that much older than her.
That's so
He was 21, because I thought he was only like a year older than her.
Oh, no, he was 5, just like your mom. Yeah, just like your mom and dad.
And then I went younger.
So, yeah, he was 21, I was
I have a
16.
question. So why are we going?
Don't worry about it.
Okay, what is your question?
Did you have shoes?
Did you have shoes?
What?
You know what, Willow, I did
Grace.
some of the time, but not all of the time, baby. Like the night that I met Debbie and Tony's daddy, what would have been your granddaddy if he'd still been living when you came. The night that I met him, I was spending the night with a friend that lived down the road from me. I had no shoes. And so we were going to town and going into a movie, and I borrowed shoes from Lita. Borrowed shoes from Lita.
lots of stickers?
No, she borrowed shoes.
I have a question.
We had shoes when we went to school. Mama made sure of that.
But when they were home, they didn't wear shoes.
In the backyard.
Did she go wedding?
Go with her friends' house.
No.
I met the one.
What
I
was
met
your
the one.
favorite fruit?
What was my favorite fruit?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say that.
Ooh, in the country, we had all those. We had a pear tree, we had a pear tree, we had apple trees, we had peach trees, we had cherry trees.
No, that's not my eyes.
So I had a good variety. I'm gonna say probably the peach was my favorite.
Judah.
Peach.
Judah.
Did you have pineapple?
No, we had no pineapple.
What?
No.
Dragon fruit? Kiwi?
Kiwi? No. No, those are all, I think all of those are, no, we didn't
Those are
even
all
have
tropical
the
fruits.
banana trees.
You
like
know
country.
what her name is?
Dracula.
Have what?
Blueberries.
You know, not when I was growing up, but a farm that was on the road where my place was, they had some people move in, bought this property, and they planted blueberries. And so, since I've been grown and go by there, well, I've been to the place and picked some blueberries.
Did you
So,
ask?
but we didn't have it when I was growing up.
Where did you get your name?
My name is because my mother had, what'd she have, 10 or 11 children, and everyone was delivered by a midwife. And so the midwife that had delivered the kids, me included, wanted me named after her. So her name is I.C.D. Price. Her last name is Price. And Mother carried me to her house after I was married and living in Memphis. Mother carried me to her house to meet her, so I got to meet her. She was a very older lady.
She took her.
What was the first candy you had and how old were you?
On my first date,
No, your first kid.
What?
Candy.
No, what was your first candy? What was the
Candy.
Candy.
oh, my first candy? Well, see, we didn't have much
and how old
at Christmas time, but Daddy always bought these, I think they're orange slices. It's kind of gummy, gooey.
Oh, I know what those
Yeah, we always had some of those.
Oh, Gushers?
Whatever the store
How
had,
old were you? Dick Story.
you know.
How old were you when you first had one?
Dick Story.
First time I had candy?
Yeah.
Ooh, I don't know. I probably started getting that when I was 4 or 5, 3 or 4 or 5. Yeah.
I did get it for Christmas.
What did I get for Christmas?
Why didn't you get it for Christmas?
Why didn't I get candy for Christmas? I did. Candy and nuts was put in my stocking.
Nuts. Nuts doesn't sound that exciting.
Yep, candy and nuts. A little candy.
Was it trail mix?
Okay. Awesome.
Awesome.